Welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Del Rio City Council. It's Tuesday, August 28th, at 6 o'clock. If we could have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Littell. Here. Councilmember Alliam. Vice Mayor Clark. Here. Mayor Edelman.
Here. Councilmember Allen's on vacation with his family. He's on Catalina Island right now. Why you want to vacation in Catalina Island rather than Del Rio? I don't get it. And Councilmember Buckley, of course, submitted his letter of resignation. We'll be discussing the future of that position on item 8B later on this evening. I would ask Councilmember Littell if she would be honored of leading the pledge of allegiance.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have the invocation from our very own Reverend Bob Hill of the Church of the Oaks.
Almighty God, please bless this city, everyone who lives here, everyone who works here, everyone who shops here. And we pray that this meeting tonight will benefit the people and please you. We thank you for your presence with us this evening. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Much appreciated. Okay, next we have a presentation by the Transportation Agency for Monterey County. Todd Buck, the Deputy Executive Director, has been around for how many years? We've worked together for a long time. He does great work over there, and CAMC with him and Debbie Hale are doing swimmingly well. So Todd's going to talk to us about the what's at risk with the upcoming ballot initiatives.
Thank you, Mary Beth, and thank you for giving me some time on your agenda this evening. I handed out just a short flyer, but it really doesn't cover the breadth of what I want to talk about. And the focus of what I will be discussing is the status of our local Measure X funding, which is the 3/8 cent sales tax that was passed by Monterey County voters in 2016, and state funding, that is the SB1 funding that we use to match Measure X. And if you want to look back, think back 2 years on the state of transportation funding in our area here, we had virtually no money available to do street road repair. And Measure X provided new revenue for our local cities, City Del Rio Oaks. You've been able to use those funds and get an advance from the transportation agency to do, you're going to be doing some seal coats on quite a few streets. And then SB1 was passed by the legislature and signed by the governor in 2017. And that provided almost a comparable amount of money for local jurisdictions for local street road repair. But it also provided a significant amount of funding that we are going after in potential grant money. And when we adopted Measure X, one of the things that we promised was to leverage the heck out of the money that we were generating here and going after state funds to do that. And so far, in a short period of time, the first year, we've been very successful. We received $29 million in grant funds, and that is $19 million to widen Imgen Road, that section of Imgen Road and Newman Parkway. That is there's a 2-lane section where it goes from 4 lanes from Highway 1, 2 lanes and over to Reservation Road. And we received a $19 million grant to widen that to 4 lanes. And we also received $10 million from the state to fund the remaining of the component of the first phase of the rail extension from San Jose to Salinas. So good start right out of the gate. And we want to make sure that everyone understands that SB1 is really important locally to our projects and able to move forward. Other projects that we are actively working on include the 4-door Regional Trail and Greenway project that we've submitted an application that will directly benefit Del Rio Oaks here. We have a $12 million application where we're proposing to leverage $2 million in Measure X with $10 million of state funds to do some really nice improvements in Del Rio Oaks and provide some really safe crossings across Highway 218 and connecting the community. We're also working with Caltrans on the State Route 156 improvements, and the first project of that larger project between Castroville and Croondale is a new interchange at Castro Boulevard. Currently, there's a signal intersection there where you have to stop on the state highway. It's been a safety concern, and what we'll be doing is replacing that with an interchange, so there will be no stopping for through traffic. People can exit there and get to Castro Boulevard. It also allows some relief for the residents of Cathedral Oaks and Oak Hills, a chance to get back and make a U-turn really when they're really stuck in traffic. And that's a project that will be about $43 million, that we have $20 million of Measure X that we want to leverage with state funds. So if we can get the state funding for that, we could probably get into construction within 3 years. We're going to have that item on our next Tennessee board meeting to talk about the designs that have been drawn up for that new interchange and let Caltrans know how we feel about it. And at staff level, we're very excited. And then there's the improvements on the 68 corridor between Delray Oaks here and Salinas. And that includes looking at a series of roundabouts and replacing signalized intersections to make that highway much safer and also really make it more predictable and quicker when you travel on it. And right now we have $50 million in Measure X. It's the largest single project program in Measure X. And we don't know exactly what the cost will be. We'll find out in the next few years. But it's going to be a range of double that, between $80 and $100 million when we look at those roundabouts and improvements to make it safer for wildlife to get across the road and safer for us for not hitting wildlife. That project is probably our prime example of something that we will either have to downscope and deal with what we can deal with our $50 million, or delay as we're waiting for additional state funds, or just delete components of it. And there's other projects that we might have to delete completely, like the rest of the 156 corridor projects, the widening and the interchange at 101, which we just will not ever generate the amount of money we need locally to do those projects. Now, on the ballot for November is Proposition 6. It's a ballot to remove SB1 and require any future transportation funds to have a 2/3 vote at statewide in order to pass future state transportation funding. And that's a real risk for us to be able to deliver our projects. And we will not be able to do what we want to do, what we promised to do with Measure X if SB1 is repealed. And it's just important to understand the context and how it's all related to us. And with that, the board, at last week's meeting, the Transportation Agency voted to oppose Proposition 6. We took that action, and that's being done in other jurisdictions around the county and around the state. So with that, I just wanted to give that briefing of the impacts locally, how we are anticipating leveraging our Measure X money, using SB1 to leverage our Measure X, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Yeah, thank you. Again, like you said, 2 years ago, before Measure X, before SB1, the list of projects that TAMC was able to work on or considered working on was almost nothing. I mean, the old Proposition 1A funds had dried up. We had nothing. But with Measure X and with the SB1, especially matching funds, the state, there's a little game that's played by the State California Transportation Commission. All the money that's collected from this county goes up to the CTC. The CTC, they dole out money to the various counties across the state. If you're a quote, self-help county, in other words, if you passed a transportation sales tax, you get money from the CTC. If you're not a self-help county, otherwise known as a loser county, you get nada. And so for how many years were we a loser county, basically, we were getting no matching funds whatsoever, grants. And so once we passed Measure X, the money's flowing in, like now you're saying millions of dollars there, plus with SB1. If SB1 is repealed, we lose again more matching funds that we've used, and most of our projects around here just go, it will be many, many years, if not decades before you're done. So, any questions about the council?
No, so thank you, Todd, for the excellent presentation. I think this is great for Delray Oaks. It will really help our community, especially with the safety crossing underneath, whether it goes underneath or on top, whatever, we need to cross over safely over 218. And really appreciate all the efforts that I know, Mayor, you were very key in getting this going when you were the chair of TNC. So thank you for all the hard work to that too.
It's also very nice to hear what is going on in the rest of the county too, and all the upgrades that are being done. I appreciate your being here tonight. Thank you so much.
Out to the public, any questions about members of the public? Seeing none, then, Todd, you can take it. This is past your normal duty day. Thank you for taking the time to come out here and address the beautiful city of Del Rio.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Good night.
Appreciate it. Okay, next on the agenda, we have the city manager report. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Institute for Local Government has awarded the city the following Beacon Spotlight Awards for 2018. We're proud to receive the Platinum Level Award for 30% community greenhouse gas reductions and the Platinum Level Award for 22% energy savings. I'm pleased to report that the city has no unpaid bills this month for the first time in memory. Chief Point and I attended the Citizens Action Group meeting Monday evening. George Jackshaw reported excellent results from the city-wide garage sale. City and CAG efforts to collaborate on city beautification projects continue. And staff took the opportunity to thank the CAG for a $4,000 donation towards the city's new lawnmower. We also thanked Scott Donaldson and George Jackshaw for procuring a utility sink and table, sizable table, and which the city staff has now installed in the back room at Town Hall, making it more functional. Thank you. I met with 9 residents during a coffee with the city manager at Starbucks Tuesday at 6 p.m. I had a robust 90-minute discussion that covered a wide range of topics and answered questions that residents raised. It continues to be a good venue for sharing information. I attended the All California Defense Summit in Sacramento, August 7th and 8th, representing the Monterey Bay Defense Alliance. Met with the Governor's Military Council on August 7th to advocate for critical issues that will help us protect and grow our national security sector here on the Central Coast, such as quality K-12 education, housing availability, water security, and spousal employment opportunities. We refined the police services contract with the Airport District into a final draft. The Airport Board considered the contract in closed session. Airport staff is meeting with their police association. The Airport Board will consider the contract in the near future, after which city staff will bring it before council for consideration. Staff will implement as soon as the contract is approved by both bodies. Our police department and Seaside Fire supported the neighborhood watch meeting on Sunday. The Donaldsons, the meeting was a good step forward in developing this resident-led program. Our police department supported Car Week activities at Laguna Seca last week and through the weekend. Officer Pareda joined our force Monday, bringing us to full strength, 3 officers, a corporal, a commander, and a chief in the police department for the first time in several years. Public Works is working closely with the Airport District Public Works to complete the construction of the new RV storage lot. Staff is coordinating with airport staff who will manage the lot. We have sent notices to all of our tenants, and they are reaching out to the airport staff to arrange the move. Anticipated move will be completed by October 1st. Public Works replaced 1,000 portions of our water pipelines in the RV storage lot and the Public Works area, completed repairs to our city kiosks, and maintained median and island curbs throughout the city by repainting them. TAMC held a Highway 218 corridor study workshop at Seaside. Councilmember Lintel and I attended along with 20 residents of Seaside and Del Rio. Kimberly Horn provided solutions for various safety challenges along the corridor. TAMC will debrief both city staffs as to next steps. The city engineer, following on Todd Monk's comment, the city engineer, police department, and I held a pre-construction meeting with Monterey Peninsula Engineering regarding our next street project on a portion of Carlton Drive that runs through the estates. We're on schedule to conduct the work during the first 2 weeks of October. We will notice residents on social media as well as flyers and hangers at their homes. The road will only be completely closed for 1 day when the 3-inch overlay is applied. And finally, staff developed a timeline to implement the city's recently passed short-term rental ordinance. Staff mailed a letter to each home in the city notifying them of the new ordinance and the need to obtain a short-term rentals license by November 1st. Staff developed the license forms and began issuing short-term rental licenses August 1st. Mayor, that completes my report.
Thank you. Great report. Councilman Lintel?
Good evening. I attended the Seaside Sanitation meeting, and we're waiting to hear from Monterey One Water regarding the lift station upgrades. Attended Airbag. There was a presentation by the feasibility study of the bus operation. on State Route 1. It was the same presentation given to MST last month, but this one also included Santa Cruz. There will be a public hearing for the draft Monterey Bay Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Program for fiscal year 2018-19 and 2021-22. I attended the Community Human Services Board meeting, and we authorized the CEO and the CFO to sign applications for program certification to be submitted to the Department of Health Care Services for outpatient drug treatment programs in Salinas and Monterey. The Delray Oaks Citizens Action Group, our city manager reported on the garage sale findings, and we also made preliminary plans for the picnic, and that picnic will be held on September 22nd at our park, and I hope you're all planning to attend. And we also discussed the beautification of Delray Oaks projects, including additional monuments and also the property on Rosita near the church. Thank you, Mayor.
Great report. Vice Mayor Clark.
I did not have a meeting this month. Every August MST does not have one. I did attend the Del Rio Citizens Action Group meeting, which we've all heard what happened there, and the neighborhood watch at Scott Donaldson's house. Thank you so much. And the next meeting will be held down at the kiosk at the bottom of Rosita, right below the church. And I plan on helping Pat Lentel and making that every bit as good as Scott's was the other day. So thank you very much. It was very informative and very helpful, and it's really bringing the community together. And that's great. That's it.
Thank you, Kristen. Great report. A busy month as usual. On July 26th, I chaired the Florida Reach Authority Veterans Issues Advisory Committee. There are a bunch of veterans organizations throughout this county that come together once a month and talk about projects they're working on and look for help and spread the wealth, so to speak. A good organization. On August 1st, attended the monthly Seaside Basin Water Master meeting. The water that we have coming out of the Seaside Basin is under judicial oversight. Pumping is restricted, and we're trying to keep the saltwater intrusion going into that water right now. We put together our annual reports going to the judge. Thus far, it does not look like there's any more saltwater intrusion coming in, but the judge reviews what's going on and gives us information to go further from there. August 7th, attended Seaside's National Night Out celebration. Outstanding opportunity to meet the Seaside Fire. The police were there, a lot of nonprofits that serve the community. Next year, if you get a chance, if you're going to want at Seaside's National Night Out, try and make it. It's a great little get-together for all these folks. August 9th, attended the Monterey Peninsula Regional Water Authority. You read in the paper just recently where the three-judge panel the three-judge panel was basically given the go-ahead for the desalinization project by Cal-Am. So right now, it looks like we may be able to meet the cease and desist order and continue pumping water for the Monterey Peninsula. Chances are there may be some lawsuits. Marina Coast Water District, City of Marina, and some of the other organizations are trying to shut off all water. The bottom line is they feel if they shut off water, they can shut off growth. If they shut off growth, there is no more growth. So we're right now trying to push forward to get the desalinization plant over in Moss Landing done so we can replace the 60% of the water we're getting from the Cromwell River right now by judge's orders. We've been told arbitrarily 60% is gone. If we replace it, the only way we can do it right now is the desalinization plant. And thus far, the three-judge panel saying we can do it is a good step. There's always threats of lawsuits. Stay tuned, read the paper, and see how that goes. On August 10th, attended the monthly Board of Directors meeting. In spite of repeated attempts to derail our Del Rio South Boundary Road capital improvement project, we're trying to get South Boundary Road upgraded. Right now, it's paper thin. You can almost get a hammer on it. It'll knock it down to the bedrock. We have to build that up. We can't put anything on our forward property until we get South Boundary Road built. We can't get South Boundary Road built until we get water, sewage, fiber optic cable, and things like that on there. So moving forward, there's a contract with Goodson Engineering to set up the intersection between General Jim Boulevard and where it meets South Boundary Road. We're looking at it, and the contract was let. It was voted down by one member at the previous meeting, just to try and slow the project down, in my opinion. This meeting, it was approved unanimously by the board, so we're moving forward on that. So our project's moving forward, but the delaying tactic is delay and delay and delay. Hopefully, they think that when Ford goes away in 2 years, if they can kill our project out there, then we may not get our project done. So we're being aggressive and making sure that we're very beginning to do what we can to help Ford, to help Del Rio develop in Florida itself. The Del Rio Citizens Action Group meeting was already mentioned. One thing that wasn't mentioned, we had about 6 or 7 new people there. They've never been there before, willing to volunteer to help the Citizens Action Group, which was really heartwarming. First time we've had large numbers of people show up since then. Hopefully they'll continue to show up and make this city an even better city than it is now. August 14th, attended the Ford Executive Committee meeting where we set the agenda for the next Ford Board meeting. Again, I think the Leadwood Watch meeting was mentioned. Scott Donaldson and his bride did a great job of setting this up. Again, our police department did a great job of briefing on the Seaside Fire. It was a great community event. We'll have more of these, I'm sure, in the future. And then on August 22nd, the last TAMC meeting, we discussed the SB1 gas tax repeal that was discussed here. And that's where the TAMC staff volunteered to come by and discuss with everybody here, plus the other cities. And yesterday, since Dennis was down south, I attended his Monterey One water meeting. Dennis is well respected by the organization. He's a former chair. He's moving forward to get water, recycled water, and expand the recycled water project. So and he's doing a great job there. Please my report for the month. Okay, next we have the consent agenda. Any member of the council have any items on the consent agenda you wish to pull for questions or comments?
I just have a comment. I want to reinforce that we have no unpaid bills. I think I just need to emphasize that. That's a first in history, I think.
That's the first time, at least I know in 20 years, but I
Yeah.
think looking back, first time in history, the city has no unpaid bills. The efforts of the city staff and the council combined, bringing additional revenues in here, not only are we able to pay the streets, but there are no unpaid bills and paying off long-term debt right now, so things are looking pretty
Yeah,
rosy.
that's all I have to say about that.
I agree. I even sent our city manager an email questioning us. 4 pages of zero on unpaid bills. Is there some error or what?
No error.
Thank you.
Okay, out to the public, any comments or questions on the consent agenda? Seeing none, bring it back to council and entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Get a motion?
I second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Next item, new business. Item A, resolution 2018-25, a resolution establishing a monetary reserve. I'll turn this over to our city manager for the news.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor and Council, I'm pleased to bring this item before you. The city goal has long been to establish an economic uncertainty reserve. This has not been possible due to the lack of revenue in the past. Fiscal year 2017-2018 audit is nearing completion and indicates a ending fund balance well in excess of $500,000. Staff recommends establishing an economic uncertainty reserve with an initial amount of $100,000 from the FY 2017-2018 ending fund balance. Our target is to establish and maintain an economic uncertainty reserve of 15% of annual budget. This action starts the city down that path to meet that goal. Staff recommendation is to pass the resolution establishing an economic uncertainty reserve with an initial amount of $100,000.
Outstanding report. Any comments or questions by members of the council? Out from the public, any questions or comments by members of the public? Back to the council, I'd just like to say this is the first time in the history of Del Rio since 1953 that we have an actual budget reserve. We made the budget reserve $100,000, nice even number. We will increase it, like the city manager said. It's always important to have a city reserve, and it's nice not to have a wolf in the door, and we're actually building up and paying off our bills. Zero budget problems, so it's a nice place to be in. Entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt the resolution 2018-25, establishing the monetary reserve of $100,000.
discussion of the motion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Next, we have 8B, discuss the process to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Councilmember Buckley for the term ending November 2020. It's unfortunate that Councilmember Buckley had to move. He's currently in the process of moving out of Del Rio to accept a position with a new company, which is a huge promotion for him. Unfortunately, that new company's gain is our city's loss. We now have to find a replacement to serve out the remaining 2 years of Councilmember Buckley's term. In the past, when a similar situation occurred, and a council member had to resign, the procedure has been for the sitting city council to appoint the replacement. The other alternative would be to hold a special election. If the city did this, it would cost the city over $20,000. In fact, we've been through a month-long filing period for the November City Council election, where only 2 residents filed papers for 2 seats. Pat Mintel, incumbent, filing for re-election for her seat, and John Gagliotti, city planning commissioner, filed for the other seat. So we have 2 people filing for 2 seats. Thus, beginning tomorrow, I'm recommending, and we'll discuss it at the council, the staff will begin advertising the Del Rio Oaks, that any Del Rio Oaks resident interested in serving on the Del Rio Oaks City Council for the remaining 2 years of Councilmember Buckley's term should submit the requests to be considered to our city clerk, along with why they feel they're best qualified to fill the position. There's a form that's already been put together that anybody can pick up from the city clerk and just fill it out and turn it in. At our city council meeting in September, we will ask each candidate to make an oral presentation of their case before the city council. The city council will then make its decision. Okay, any questions or comments by members of the city council? Yes.
I just said, that is how, ironic that Irene is here, that's how I got put on the city council, was to fill a vacant seat. And I thank Irene for encouraging me to do that. And I know Dennis Oleon was appointed, and when Jerry Edlin was appointed, all of us sat on the planning commission prior to being appointed, and all of us were volunteers in the community. And I lean toward appointing someone to the city council for this vacancy, and I know that every city I've ever seen with a vacancy does it this way also.
I agree, especially in light of what you mentioned, that there was a period where anybody who was interested in becoming a member of the city council could have pulled papers to apply for that position, and there were only 2 of us that did, so I don't see any need to have a special election, we'll just have that period, and nobody else applied.
Yeah, to the public, any public comment on this item on the agenda? Seeing none, back to the council, entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we fill the vacancy by appointment of the city council.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion on the motions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Next, we have the public comment period. Any member of the public may address the council on any item not on the agenda. You've got 3 minutes. If you could state roughly where you're from, it would help with the clerk put down the item of record. Any members wishing to address the council? Please.
Mr. Mayor, the city council members, congratulations on having unpaid bills. My name is Debbie Blakesley, and I am a Del Rio Oaks resident, and I'm also a Cal-Am ratepayer, as many of us are. Public water now, I know a lot of us have seen the signs around. We've got almost twice as many signatures as needed to put an initiative on the November ballot. The initiative asks for a feasibility study to look at public-owned water for the Monterey Peninsula versus what we have now, our current supplier, Cal-Am. If the study shows that it would be favorable for us to have a publicly owned agency, then the water management district would have to move forward and buy out Cal-Am. We're upset about water for a good reason. I mean, we talked a little bit tonight about meetings on water. We have the highest water costs in the nation, up 68% over the last 2 years. And even when we conserve, like, rain barrels, everything we do to conserve water, it seems like we're penalized because rates continue to go up. Not only do we have to pay for the delivery of water, but we have to pay for millions of failed projects that have not provided us with any additional water. We also paid Cal-Am approximately $63 million for not delivering enough water for their profit margin during the last drought. We're not alone in realizing that this for-profit water is really not good for our citizens. According to Food and Water Watch, over 400 communities have moved to public water in the past 25 years. 87% of the country is run by public-owned agencies. None of us can live without water. It's survival. Our pets. We can't survive without water. Our farmers. It shouldn't be provided for a profit. And I hope all the voters join me in November in voting yes. We have an initiative now, yes on J this November. And if you'd like any more information on the initiative, publicwaternow.org. It's a great website. Lots of good information there, and I appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, please.
Oh, Mayor, Council, wasn't really planning on speaking tonight here at your window. But I can't let your characterization go and just unchallenge somebody's cell phone. It's just, I don't know if it's uninformed or purposely misrepresenting facts, but this painting everyone as, well, they're against the South, they want no growth, they want no water, no growth. That's grossly inaccurate. There are a variety of people opposing the South for a variety of different reasons, some technical, some political, some against the growth. But to just paint that as, we want to talk the waters, we talk the growth is absolutely inaccurate. And we just need to keep, that kind of stuff's not helpful for good discussions. So I just want to bring that, please, let's be a little more mindful of the nuances that's involved in these discussions. They're important. They're complicated. They're not that simple. There are some valid concerns about the East Side. You should listen to them. Get all the facts and then make up your mind. But just to throw stuff out there like that is not helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker, please.
Hi, Robert. I addressed that before, that problem on Amos. Last night I was not at home, but I received a phone call right after I left home. And right behind my house, there was a Jeep parked with tinted windows and actually sexual activities going on. I left the house around 6 o'clock, so it was daytime. I don't know if our police force was there, Seaside police force was there, but apparently nothing was done. We were talked to, and it happened before. It's not the first time. So, right behind my fence, and I'm very upset over there.
Thank you, ma'am. Next speaker, please. Anyone wishing to address the council? Okay, staff will take the comments that were made and move forward where they can with corrective action. Okay, public comment period is closed. Correspondence, our city manager recommends the platinum level award that will be picking up the League of California Cities meeting. One thing we don't know right now, we're receiving 2 platinum level awards at the state level. Last year, during 2017, there was only 1 platinum level award presented in the entire state. Right now, we know we're getting 2. So I'm not sure if they loosened up the criteria or whatever. I'd like to be able to think that if the city manager is going down to pick up the award itself, we may end up with, what I hope is that we'll be the #1 city in the entire state as far as energy conservation and recognized such at the state level. So keep your fingers crossed and we'll see what happens from there. Okay, we're going into closed sessions. We're not going into closed sessions permitted by Government Code 54956. So basically, our next meeting is September 25th at 6 o'clock. Set your calendars, we'll see everybody then, hopefully the weather stays